Hi there, my name is Renier, and I'll be your tour guide for another Unity free tutorial. Today I'm going to cover navmesh. A navmesh is essentially a map for artificial intelligence to know where to walk and where he can't walk. I'm using a third-party tool. There is one built into Unity. You're free to use that one if you like. Essentially, the third-party tool uses an A-star algorithm. It's just fancy words saying that it builds a graph on where you want to walk, and it'll do a straight line from point A to point B, and then it'll keep scanning until point A to point B, and it'll keep scanning on new paths until it finds the shortest path around obstacles to point A to point B. Now, there's multiple things you can do. You can average out the path so it's not so jaggedy, depending on the graph or the grid you're using. The third-party tool that I'm using is A-star Pathfinding. You can find it if you just search A-star Pathfinding Unity on the internet, and you can just import it in. To import things, you can go to import new assets and locate the file. Alright, so I have a hospital. You can start by creating a empty game object. I call it pathing. Oh, I don't want a new one. I have a pre-made navigation mesh. There's multiple navigation graphs you can. Grid graph is essentially a grid. It shoots down laser beams or ray casts at certain points. So I'm going to do 100 by 100, and we'll do scan. And over here you can see that this is good for open terrain. It builds a grid for you, and then you can change the locations or the size of it depending. You can rotate it, and you can choose the node size. So if you don't want the computer to calculate so many small nodes, this helps you out. If you have a big open area, I would suggest just making the nodes bigger. We can delete that. The one I'm currently using is a navmesh. Essentially, it is a 3D model of where you want them to walk. This is good for multiple floors, like a building, because the laser beams or the raycast grid will just shoot onto the roof, and you won't be able to walk in the floors themselves. I'll show you. You got to put the in the resources, and I have a nav mesh here, and as you can see here, it is just a 3D model of planes that you can just that maps out where you want them to walk. We'll delete that, and as you can see, I have mine already put in. Now my 3D modeler made a new some changes. Now, when you're creating a nav mesh, it's important to not put it all the way to the walls, or they find the shortest path. So they'll start clipping like into the walls just as they pass by it, and it's not very good. Now, as you can see, I have right here, it's sticking to the wall. So when he walks, he'll walk really close to the wall, and it looks like he's going through the wall. So your best practice is just to make like half a foot off each wall, so it looks pretty good. So I'm going to delete the one that I have, bring in a new one. That's not what I wanted. I'll bring in a new one. Excellent. And the pathing. And as you see, the source mesh is none, so I'll put the new one in there. Nav mesh, and I'll scan, and you don't forget to bring it up to a scale of 1. Path scan, and a new one has appeared. Let's check, and there you go. The planes that I wanted gone are gone, and now they should stop walking through the walls. And through the hallways, you can see that everything's been shrunk down a little bit so it doesn't touch the walls. Now this is pretty easy to change. You just delete the old one, do your changes, load in the new one. Make sure you change the scale, and you can just make sure they're connected. Just because they're touching doesn't mean it. We had a problem here that he had extruded a plane, but they weren't connected. Make sure you have these blue lines going from plane to plane. It kind of indicates that they're connected and they know there's a path through there. So everything has to be connected with the vertex while you're 3D modeling. Now, if you're gonna add new floors, just extrude from the existing and just load in the new one. If you have open area, you can also make a grid. Let's make a 400 by 400. And as you can see, this is good for open area, and it lags significantly the computer. So this it's not a very good choice. All right. Next, I will teach you the part 2 on how to communicate from that map to your artificial intelligence on how to use that map or navigation mesh. I hope I've helped someone out. I'll put a link to my portfolio down below, and I'll put a link to the third-party tool that I've used. And have a great day.